Holy shit. He said what?
I choose people who don't want to be written about on the whole, whose lives are shrouded in mystery, and they want to hide their secrets. And I just love digging away to find out what they don't want us to know.
Have you ever seen that video?
No.
Pull that video up, because it's one of my favorite.
We know now in hindsight that Meghan never really intended to stay. Her guest list to her wedding showed her real ambition was to be a star in California. And Harry's friends were excluded from the guest list in the evening from the dinner.
Tom Bower isn't some random gossip writer. He's the biographer that royalty fears. The man has built his career exposing powerful people with exact detail. And when his name appeared again with the words hidden tapes, the industry knew something big was about to explode. But no one saw this coming, not even Harry. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video. And subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. According to people close to the situation, these weren't careless leaks or fuzzy memories. They were real recordings. Raw, unedited, and impossible to deny. Allegedly capturing private talks where Harry let his guard down, not sounding like a man hurt by royal life, but like a rich operator obsessed with control, image, and payback. The voice on the tape wasn't thoughtful or kind. It was sharp, bitter, and shockingly full of self-importance. The tone alone was a PR disaster. The content was even worse. Alleged insults toward family members, private anger over media deals, and quiet jabs at Meghan's handling of certain brand partnerships. Things no one was ever meant to hear. Bower, always strategic, dropped. The bomb was such perfect timing, it almost felt personal. Right when Harry and Meghan were trying another brand change. Right when public interest was fading, the story flipped instantly. Journalists started closing in. Producers paused projects. Executives who had quietly put up with Harry's image suddenly had proof the mask had slipped. And the worst part, no one close to Harry has said the recordings are fake. Because when the voice on the tape is yours, denial doesn't work. Staying silent is your only option. And Bower knew that from the start.
Well, Future from Sussexes, I think, is pretty grim. I think that they're on a permanent decline. Whenever they need money, whenever they need publicity to stoke their reputation, they'll drop another little bomb. I mean, we're still waiting, of course, for Meghan's own autobiography, which I'm sure she is penning. She is a good writer, and it'll be filled with vitriol and filled with lies. I mean, she will not tell the truth because she wants sensational headlines. That is the ultimate weapon she can deploy.
When the tapes went public, Harry didn't just react, he fell apart. People close to the couple describe a scene that felt less like damage control and more like a full royal-level panic attack. Shouting behind closed doors, phone calls to lawyers in different time zones, advisors rushing to delete mentions online. One insider even said Harry completely lost it, not because the content was fake, but because he knew it was real, and worse, it was out there. For a man obsessed with controlling his own story, losing that control wasn't just annoying, it was a disaster. Their Montecito home became like a pressure cooker, with staff reportedly told to act like nothing happened, as if pretending would undo the damage. But behind the scenes, Harry was falling apart. He allegedly blamed his team for not protecting him, asked why no one warned him, and threatened legal action against anyone who even shared the clips. Meghan, according to some sources, didn't say much, just watched. Cold.com and distant. Maybe shocked, maybe not. Some think she knew the tapes existed and hoped they would stay hidden. But Harry didn't hope, he panicked. He had spent years turning pain into PR and turning vulnerability into brand value. And with one release, Tom Bower destroyed it all. No control, no cleanup. Just his own voice spreading all over the internet. And not a single friendly media outlet stepped in to protect him. That wasn't just a scandal, it was a collapse. And Harry felt every second of it.
A lot of people accuse Meghan of changing Harry, but do you think this is the real Harry?
No, I don't. I think that it's just Harry, being a simple soul, has easily changed to suit Meghan's agenda. And Meghan's living with Meghan is very different than living with Kate and William. Meghan has a completely different attitude, and I think California has a different attitude. So I think we're now seeing a different Harry.
The moment the tapes went viral, Harry's inner circle went from confident to panicked. What used to be one of the most carefully controlled PR machines in celebrity history suddenly looked like a tent collapsing in a windstorm. According to insiders, Arkewell's communications team froze. No statement, no tweets, no carefully written denial, Just complete silence while news outlets from London to Los Angeles picked apart the tapes, frame by frame, word by word. For years, Harry and Meghan had used media silence as a weapon. They chose when to speak, picked their interviews, and controlled the story completely. But this time, silence wasn't part of the plan. It was survival. Reports say the couple's publicist was caught off guard, scrambling behind the scenes to kill the story, quietly warning friendly journalists, and trying to fill the news cycle with light stories to hide the fire. But nothing worked. Every outlet wanted the tapes. What made it worse was that even their friends, former media partners, charity contacts, even streaming bosses didn't step in to help. One by one, doors that were once open slammed shut or simply stopped answering. A source from a big TV network said, "We weren't given talking points because there were no talking points." Harry's usual trick of blaming the press didn't work because the voice was his and the damage came from inside. No palace leak to blame. No British tabloid to attack. Just the whole world listening, waiting to see if he would even try to explain himself. He didn't, because when your own words destroy your brand, there's nothing left to say.
When Meghan came along into the scene, I just thought, this is fascinating. How is this going to play out? To tell the truth, I spoke to very few friends of Meghan because she put a fatwa on anyone talking to me who she could. So I sent off dozens and dozens of emails to her friends, and most of them didn't even reply. And obviously I spoke to her father, who loves her still very much, and said, in the end, whatever she is, she's still my daughter.
According to people who heard the tapes, Harry's tone wasn't emotional or thoughtful. It was entitled, annoyed and shockingly out of touch. In one clip, he reportedly complained that the public owed him understanding, called his critics ungrateful idiots, and mocked the mental health of some royal staff who had challenged him in the past. In another, he allegedly complained about news stories that didn't focus enough on his trauma, as if headlines should be written to fit his emotional story. These weren't random remarks. They completely tore apart the image he had worked for years to build: the hurt prince, the misunderstood rebel, the man who rose above it all. Instead, what came through was a different Harry. Bitter, calculating, self-centered. Even more shocking were his reported comments about making money from his trauma, talking about brand deals, and using public sympathy as a bargaining tool. The big revelation wasn't just that he had flaws, it was that his flaw was part of a plan. Every raw interview, every polished Netflix clip now felt practiced, not genuine. And when people realized that, they didn't just feel disappointed, they felt used. That's when support turned into suspicion, and his brand cracked beyond repair as backlash spread like wildfire. The silence from Harry's closest allies said more than any statement could. People who once posted birthday wishes or appeared with him in Netflix specials suddenly disappeared from the conversation. Big Hollywood names, producers, and powerful people in the industry quietly started pulling away. One source close to a streaming giant claimed that deals linked to Harry and Meghan's brand were now being reviewed, not because of the scandal itself, but because of the risk. No one wanted to be connected to a brand that had just turned toxic. Even Meghan's rumored upcoming projects reportedly went cold, with studios hesitating to move forward in the middle of the chaos. But it wasn't just Hollywood stepping back. Royal insiders say Buckingham Palace had already cut emotional ties long ago, but this leak confirmed why. No official comment, no public defense, just silence.
From what was the natural person who everyone in Britain loved and saw the smiley person who played with children, Ursula Bolt and the whole thing, into this vengeful person, full of vengeance. I think Meghan encouraged the vengeance. Meghan encouraged the anger and the hatred and seeing enemies and paranoia.
The kind of deliberate inaction that shows complete disconnection. Even charities that once worked closely with the couple stopped promoting their partnerships. Behind the scenes, it wasn't about betrayal, it was about survival. When being linked to someone becomes risky, even loyalty runs out. Harry and Meghan built their empire on carefully chosen access and powerful connections. Now, those connections are disappearing, and no one is trying to save them. While Harry was falling apart, Meghan stayed silent. And that silence wasn't by accident. For someone who built her brand on speaking out, telling her truth, and defending her family, choosing to say nothing after the tape leak was strategic, calculated, and very telling. Sources say she didn't release a statement, didn't call Tom Bower, and didn't even try to change the story through her usual media contacts. She simply stepped back. No Instagram posts, no quiet leaks to the Daily Mail, just silence. Some believe she's pulling away not only from the scandal, but from Harry himself. Rumors in Hollywood claim Meghan has quietly started to rebrand herself less as part of a couple, more as her own legacy. Her team, according to One Entertainment Insider, has been pitching new projects that focus on her voice, her story, and noticeably leave Harry out. Whether she knew the tapes existed or not, she saw the damage coming and chose to watch from a safe distance. Meghan isn't trying to fix Harry's mess. She's making sure it doesn't touch her. And in a world where silence can be louder than denial, her choice not to speak might be the most powerful move she's made since leaving the palace. The message was quiet but clear. This is his problem now.
Alternatively, charming, spoiled, badly educated, simple-minded and demanding, and that previous girlfriend said he lacked class, was unromantic, unserious, short-tempered, imperious. What on earth did Meghan see in that then?
She saw someone who's needy. She saw
Right.
somebody
She could fix.
Who she could use and who could serve her purposes. And to be fair, I think Harry saw the same in her. He was looking for someone who, despite all those minuses, wanted him, and she did want him because she then was promoted from an unknown actress into a global star. So they served each other.
After the first shock faded, Harry did what he always does when the story slips out of his hands. He went on the attack. Legal threats were written, letters sent. His lawyers reportedly contacted platforms that had the leaked tapes, demanding they take them down and warning of lawsuits. But the internet doesn't care about legal notices. Within hours, copies were being shared in group chats, reposted around the world, downloaded, saved, and made permanent. You can't erase your own voice from the internet, especially when your voice is the story. While the lawyers tried to shut it down, Harry's public image kept falling apart. Reports say he canceled appearances, yelled at his staff, and even demanded changes to upcoming projects that showed his vulnerable side. That version of himself, the one he had spent years selling, now seemed laughable to the same public that once felt sorry for him. And the media was relentless. International headlines weren't asking if the tapes were real, they were breaking down every second of them. Not one outlet, not even his friendliest ones, came to his defense. The damage wasn't just to his reputation, it hit his entire identity. A brand built on carefully controlled emotion was now crushed by real emotion he couldn't control. And for the first time, even his most loyal supporters started asking the question Harry fears most. What else is he hiding? Prince Harry spent years telling the world his story, painfully, publicly, and with full control over how it was told. He turned personal pain into global headlines, made documentaries, and gave emotional interviews that showed him as the royal rebel who broke free from the system. But the hidden tapes destroyed that. They took away the narrative, the polish, the plan, leaving only his own voice, raw and unprotected. In just a few recordings, Harry lost the one thing he thought he always had control. And without it, the whole machine collapsed. Hollywood isn't calling. The palace isn't reacting. Meghan isn't defending him. And the public is watching him fall apart. Because when the truth leaks before you can edit it, all that's left is who you really are behind the curtain. This wasn't just a PR disaster, it was a total collapse of credibility. And now, the same people who helped build his platform are walking away quietly for good. He can threaten, deny, or stay silent, but the damage is done. And if you think this was explosive, just wait until you hear what happened when Meghan Markle allegedly made an angry call to Colin Jost over another brutal joke that hit too close to home. You won't believe what happened next.
What I discovered was, of course, that she was hunting for a man in England from 2013 onwards, when her marriage had crashed and she couldn't find anyone in Canada at the time. And she wanted wealth and she wanted fame. And she targeted, there's no doubt she targeted Harry.
He thought he could control the story forever, but one recording changed everything. Prince Harry has spent the last few years carefully changing how people see him. Part victim, part rebel, part truth teller. Every interview, every podcast, every Netflix show was planned perfectly. But then Tom Bauer released the recordings, and in less than 24 hours, the image Harry worked on for years wasn't just damaged, it was destroyed. Because this time, it wasn't the tabloids twisting his words. It wasn't royal staff leaking half-truths. It was his own voice, raw and unedited, showing the big gap between who he says he is and who he really is in private. And the reaction, total chaos. Insiders say Harry lost his mind. Not just upset, not just shaken, but completely out of control. Calls to lawyers, demands to block the recordings, screaming inside the Montecito home because he knew what the recordings meant. Game over. The PR machine stopped. Meghan stayed strangely quiet, and Harry, he fell apart. Because this wasn't just another media leak. It was the moment the truth came out before he could change it. What exactly did the recordings show? Why did they shock both Hollywood and royal circles? And how did Harry go from one of the most protected voices in the world to the most exposed? Get ready, because what you're about to hear isn't cleaned up, it's not approved. It's the version of Prince Harry he never wanted you to see.